Hey guys, welcome to Becky's Garden Paradise. I'm going to show you how I clean and cook the Ethiopian kale that I picked last weekend. So if you're curious how to clean and cut and cook rolled greens, or what some people call shredded greens, southern style, stay tuned. And also I have some bonus footage for you at the end of my friends and nieces, Kira and Cody, with this cute selfie. So stay tuned and check it out. To clean collard greens, or in this case, this is kale, I put it in the sink and I run the water over. I go through it leaf by leaf to make sure that I don't miss any dirt, bugs, bad parts of the leaf. And so I really take my time, go front and back over it, look at it real good, make sure that you're not missing anything. And then when I'm doing this part of the cleaning is when I also will remove big pieces of the stem, and then I'll take them out of the water and I'll show you how I roll them and slice them to make rolled greens or shredded greens. So after I go through this leaf by leaf, I'll fill the sink up with water and give it another good wash. I wash them at least 3 times. So give them another good wash with the sink full of water. And then after the second washing, then that's when I'll roll them, slice them, and then I'll put them back in the sink and wash them usually 2 more times. So really I probably wash them like 4 times altogether. Because once I have them shredded, I usually wash them 2 more times after that. So I've shredded all the greens. You can see what they look like. I'm just filling the sink up just enough to cover them, with just enough cool water to cover them, and then I'll give them a good wash. Go like that to make sure that they all get a good rinse in the water. And there weren't any pesticides or anything sprayed on this, but still gotta clean them real good. When I was growing up in Ohio, I only ever saw people eat greens out of a can. And it was usually only around New Year's. And they were disgusting to me. When I was a teenager, my sister got me to eat canned greens with bacon in them. And it wasn't until I moved to Florida, to the south, where I was introduced to fresh cooked greens. And I'll never ever eat them any other way, from a can or frozen, unless I've cooked them fresh and then frozen them, because I've done that, and I took greens like that to my dad in the bottom of a cooler a couple of times from the freezer. And they were good that way. But not like, like, what do you call it? Where you put them in hot water real quick, and then put them in cold water, and then freeze them, then drain them and freeze them. No, thank you. This is the second rinse. So I've already washed them real good. And then after I washed them real good, I pulled them out of the sink and put them in the strainer. And then you can see the water will be real green from the chlorophyll in the greens. But you want to do it like that. Say that you're washing them in a big bowl instead of washing them in a sink or washing them in a tub. You want to pull the greens out of that water, because any sand or dirt that might still be in there is going to sink to the bottom. So if you try to like clean them in a bowl and then drain them with the greens in there, that sand or dirt is going to get caught in your greens. You're not going to get it out. I just wanted to explain why I do it like this. An old woman from South Carolina that taught me how to clean greens. She makes greens every single week for her family, Sunday dinners. And if you have extra, greens left over that you've cooked, you could put them in the freezer. She's the one that also taught me that. Now this is enough water. It's covered in water. Like I said, I'm just washing them real good. And that way, you know, if I make a big batch of greens, it's just me and my son usually. So if I make a big batch of greens, I know we're not going to eat them all in time. So I'll usually go ahead and freeze some when I first make them, so that, you know, I don't waste any. I try not to waste stuff. So the freezer is your friend if you're trying to, like if you make turkey for Thanksgiving, you know, and you have way more turkey than you know you're going to eat before it goes bad, then just go ahead and freeze half of it, you know, when you first make it, so that you have turkey for later to make, you know, turkey casserole, you know, rice with turkey in it, whatever in the world creation you decide to make. So again, I'm rinsing them real good. You can I can't hardly talk today. You can let them sit here and soak if you have other stuff to do, or you're making, you know, other food for dinner. I already have some green beans and potatoes that I made in the crock pot. Like I said, I'm cooking just a few pieces of smoked turkey wing. Got those heating up, simmering real good to, you know, make a broth for the greens, and then also to loosen that meat up, tender that meat up, so that I'll be able to pull it off the bones and shred it to put in these greens. So you can see here's a piece of a stem that it's not going to kill you if you eat it. It's not too big, but since it exposed itself, I'm going to go ahead and take that out. If you buy the pre-washed greens from the store, they're going to have a lot of big pieces of stem. And you can see this water is pretty clear compared to the first time that I rinsed them. Well, after I shredded them, it was real green. But all right, I'm going to go ahead and get ready to pull these out. So I have my bowl with the strainer in it over here, and I'll show you how I do it. Just pull it out. I got the strainer, so you know they're going to continue to drain once I put them in there anyway. And then I have a little bit of bacon grease that I'm going to put in the pan with some onion. You put fresh garlic. And then as soon as the onion starts to soften up, then I'll go ahead and start adding the greens in. And I usually season it with, you know, salt, pepper, red pepper flakes. You can use seasoned salt. I've used Creole seasoning before instead of seasoned salt. They actually make, you know, green seasoning, but it's basically a type of seasoned salt. And then towards the end, I'll put a little bit of sugar in there. Not too much. Maybe like a couple tablespoons. Depends on how big of a batch you're cooking and the taste too. Alrighty. So I have a couple teaspoons of bacon grease in here with sliced onions. You can slice them or you can chop them however you want to do it. You can also put bell pepper in there if you have it. I don't have any bell pepper right now, or else I'd put some thin slivers of it in there. And then if you had, you know, bacon, you could just I like to chop the bacon up and brown it in the pan when I'm making the greens. Rather than just putting the bacon in there with the greens when the greens are already in the pot and kind of boiling the bacon. I like it, you know, to be browned. And then also, if I'm not using bacon, because I've made them without any bacon or bacon grease before, if I'm just using like smoked turkey wings or whatever, you could, you know, stew the smoked turkey wings or neck bones or whatever you're using, and put the carrots and bell pepper and garlic and red pepper flakes and all that good stuff in there in that broth. And then once you've stewed it down to where the meat's tender, then just add the greens to that. If I'm making a big batch of greens, I usually use, I need to get my spoon. I usually use a big stock pot, but this is just a little bit, like I said, from that one plant that I showed you in the video last weekend. So it's browning up, they're soft. I can go ahead and put my greens in here because the onions are gonna continue to cook with the greens. Alright, so that one, small bunch of greens, that was from one Ethiopian kale plant, filled up my pot. So I'm going to go ahead and salt it. The salt's going to season it, but it's also going to help it cook down. And I also put my red pepper flakes in there, put the lid on for a few minutes, and we'll see how quick it cooks. So I added the red pepper flakes. I added a good amount. You can't see all that I shook in there, but we do like a little bit of bite, especially my son. So I'm just going to stir them down a little bit. They're already, you could tell, starting to cook down a little bit. Yep. I'm going to add some of the broth. I got red pepper flakes on my spoon. I'm going to try to carefully add some of this broth from the smoked turkey wings without making a big giant mess. It's going to be good flavor. Like I said, help it cook down. Help season it real good. Whoop. Doing it one-handed. I'm going to get a tripod very soon. It's on my next Amazon shopping list. Alright, I'm going to leave it at that. Alright, put the lid on it. Stir it again, put the lid on it, and let it cook for a little bit. Alright, so within minutes, you see how much it's cooked down to the bottom of the pot, though. It's not making that many, which is fine. I knew it wouldn't, because it wasn't a lot. It was like half of a grocery bag full of greens. So I added some seasoned salt and garlic powder, black pepper. So I'm going to mix that in. Some people put butter in their greens when they're cooking them. I've even used broth. Like if I only had bacon and I wasn't using any smoked meat and I needed some liquid, instead of adding water, just to, give it another flavor boost, you could use like chicken broth, or even I've used vegetable stock, and it gave it a real good flavor with the bacon. You can see it still needs stirred in because there's like a couple clumps of the garlic powder. I like to use fresh garlic, but I don't have that much, so I use garlic powder today. But it's gonna dissolve, and I'll stir it more. While it's continuing to cook, I'm gonna go ahead and shred the smoked turkey so that I can add that. Just trying to get it. There we go. Alright, so you can see at this point, they've cooked down a lot. The color has darkened. I already took the smoked turkey off the bone and added it with the rest of the broth. And I did a taste test with my fork. Well, I didn't dig in there, But anyways, did a taste test, and it needed a little bit more salt. And then the sugar, I didn't add that much sugar since it's just a little bit of green. So I added that, and I'm going to stir it in. Alright, so the greens are done. And I'm just waiting on the rice to finish steaming. Like I said, I made green beans and potatoes with Italian sausage in the crock pot. You can see what I have to go with the greens that I made, fresh picked from the garden. So thanks for joining me at Becky's Garden Paradise. Please like, share, subscribe if you like the video, and let me know if you have any tips and tricks that you use when you're making or cleaning your greens, or what you liked from the video. If you learned anything, I'd love to see that in the comments below. Thanks again, and have a good evening. He likes it when we're laughing for real, for real.
Yeah, he knows when we're faking. Not playing your game.
You gonna be a famous bird? Are you famous, Hollywood? The Hollywood bird? I sing what I want to sing. No, thank you. Velociraptor feet. Uh-oh, you're trying to come down here and get close to me. What are you doing, little birdie?
I can come a little closer.
You gonna sing to me? Sing. Sing to me. Guantanamera.
Filo. Filo. Wow, it's got all the words today. Filo. Filo. There you go. I love you. He used to say I love you. But he doesn't anymore.
Pretty bird.
Where's the love gone, Cody? Paparita. That is that a little girl that, well, she's a grown-up girl now, but a little girl came here and she couldn't say Santa la Cotarita. She said Poparita. And Cody picked it up right away.
Guantanamera. Oh my goodness. You're not taking requests, huh?
No. Let's see what I want. You're not picking me up. It's posing for you.
Say Guantanamera. Sing.
Feeling cute.
Mm-hmm. Big pimpin'. Becky's Garden Paradise apron on that was custom made for me by my good neighbor friend Erica. So shout out to Erica. So it's hand embroidered. I'll put a link for her aprons in the description so that if you're interested in ordering one, you know how to get in touch with her. So I've already washed the greens leaf by leaf and rinsed them all off. And so these are some small leaves, so I roll them up the same way, regardless of the size, if they're small or large. So this is about a handful of small leaves. And the trick to making the rolled greens or the shredded greens is to slice them thin, right? Some people, you can buy the pre-washed shredded greens in some stores, but sometimes I have a hard time finding them, so it's good to know how to do it yourself, especially if you're cooking fresh greens that you brew yourself or you got from a local farmer or farmer's market. And I just go down, like I said, I already removed all the big stems, made sure that there weren't any questionable spots in the leaves, no bugs. I didn't have a spider crawl out of these greens like I did when I cleaned the dino kale recently. But these are the greens that I showed you in my last video. So I just stack them up. like this. They don't have to be perfect. Sometimes I have more OCD than others about them being in the same direction, but it doesn't really matter. As long as they're flat, I try to make them all flat. And then if you have different size leaves, it makes it easier for you to roll them. If you have bigger ones on the outside, you see I have a lot of baby leaves. You could have eaten these like baby, baby greens, baby kale in a salad, but it was just that one plant that I had to harvest. So they're all going in the pot. And again, they look similar to collard greens, but it's called Ethiopian kale, but it looks similar, cooks up just like them. They're all in the brassica family anyway. Alright, let me just go ahead and I'll show you how to roll them. So, just tuck them up so that they're all rolled up. And then I push them down. And I just slice down the bunch. Like I said, try to slice them thin. If you slice them thicker, it's okay. I know a lot of the restaurants have them sliced a little bit thicker, but I like them thin. And I have, since this is just a small bunch from one plant, I have 3 pieces of smoked turkey wing in a little pot starting to heat up so I can simmer it, make kind of like a stock out of it, and loosen the meat up, tenderize the meat a little bit so that once I add it to the greens, it'll be some good flavoring, and I can go ahead and shred the meat off of the bones. So as I shred them, I put them down in the sink until I'm finished cutting all of them. I have the strainer inside of this bowl to catch any water that's draining off from whenever I cleaned them, and I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing to the rest of them. So I'll be right back.